Hey everybody, welcome back to Marvel Movie News. Today we're talking about Wolverine 3. We're talking about Mr. Sinister's in Wolverine 3. We're talking about Ghost Rider and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to talk a little bit about Doctor Strange and X-Men Apocalypse and lots of other stuff in cold open.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel
Bad
Movie
at the cold open.
You're
So it was
really
a good.
not.
It was a good suggestion for you to say in cold open. Thank you.
No, it gives you a nice button.
We are the Marvel Movie News coming to you live from a
technical
nondescript
term.
airport in Germany, which is why we're playing La Balance. This was Kistler's suggestion.
But an excellent one.
Yeah, it's a Kistler excellence. Yeah. All right. We are the Marvel Movie News coming to you live from a nondescript airport in Germany, where we tell you all the news from all the studios and why you should be as excited as we are. We're saying the nondescript airport in Germany because today is the official domestic release, at least in America, of the DVD Blu-ray for Civil War. I dare say one of the better of the superhero films.
This
I'm
film.
so glad that it's actually a really crowded field, but yes.
Yeah, agreed.
You and I have talked about this. Amy and I haven't talked about this, but I was almost angry at how good it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it had no
Yeah.
business being
that
that
good.
good.
It didn't.
Yeah.
Where you're a Captain America sequel plus an Avengers sequel / prequel prologue.
Yeah.
And we kind of sneak Black Panther and Spider-Man in there somehow.
Yeah.
Plus, you got to set up Black Panther and Spider-Man and introduce Zemo and General Ross from Hulk.
it's all gonna be
We haven't
movie.
seen you in 7 years. Welcome back.
and deal with all this jazz and you're good. You're really
Yeah.
good. You have character arcs.
Yeah,
and
everyone has a character
Everyone
arc.
has a
Themes,
character arc.
ideas in the movie
Yeah,
that were consistent. What?
It really,
insane.
it really, truly should not have been that good.
Like the subtitle should have been Black Panther. Am I right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that just with
Captain
the am I
America,
right?
Civil War.
Yes.
Black Panther, am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Just he
in
was-
parentheses, and kind of askew, sort of like Ferris Bueller wrote it in there, last second. Yeah,
Like it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I was going in there expecting to enjoy it, but just think they were trying to do a lot, but good for them, you know.
Yeah.
It's like no. This is
they
really
put it
good.
all in and it worked.
I mean,
And
I
not
went
to start a fight
yeah.
here, but and improved on the source story from my
Yes.
money.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Both sides more reasonable. Both sides like a better conflict.
No, and I hate, I love me some Bendis, but no, he didn't.
Miller.
No, That was
Miller?
Miller. It was
Mark
Miller.
Miller.
That's
Pronounced
right.
Miller.
That's right. It's
I
Miller.
can't get it
Like
right.
Frank.
But I do love Miller, but he's always got that one weird thing that he does. Like, there's always this weird and here's left field. And this one it was like Clone Thor or whatever it was, and it was just like,
Clone
what is going on?
I don't love Miller, and I don't hate him usually. It's just we veer on different styles and tastes,
Yeah,
So it's just Kick-Ass. I get it. I think he betrayed the premise as soon as Hit Girl's introduced. Because
Yeah.
here's an actual superhero.
Yeah.
But it was entertaining, and I get it. And a lot of his work,
And he's
I'm like,
having an odd shift in his career where he's doing everything backwards, but a couple of years ago he woke up and decided it would be fun to write happy stories. So
Right.
he's starting to do that, and it's sort of confusing because
Yeah.
it's Mark Miller, but I'm
You know what
I'm all for experimentation, and also I was really interested for the fact that when Batman v Superman came out and he saw it, he said no.
Yeah.
Not even that. It was Man of Steel. I'm sorry.
Man of
It was
Steel.
Man of Steel.
He's like,
he
nah.
criticized Man of Steel. Why would you have Superman kill a guy? That
and he
makes no
said, I know I
sense."
have a lot of blood on my hands in this department, but
Right.
maybe we've gone too far. And
Right.
we're all like, yes.
Good on you, Miller.
Yeah.
You know what I loved of his? Chrononauts. Chrononauts was a fun book.
Chrononauts is way fun.
That was a really fun book.
Yeah, and that's the more recent stuff. Like Amy said, he's sort of shifting gears. But
Chrononauts
with,
is delightful, though it is a bit hard to read with the level of historical irresponsibility.
well,
Yeah,
it's,
no,
it's-
very
so
true.
bro-y.
Very true. No, they're like douche bros in time.
But,
yeah,
But
absolutely.
in a fairly charming way, beautifully illustrated.
Yes.
But
yes.
but with Civil War, the original story, and I reread all of Civil War and all the tie-ins just a few months ago for a Polygon piece I did.
Yeah.
And it just is so startlingly clear of how inconsistent the entire thing is and how much of it can only work if people are acting out of character.
Yeah.
And Tony if you include all the tie-ins as canon, then there have to be 3 Tony Starks. There's like one who you see his point and he's just gone a little too far, but you see that he's desperate. And there's one who's just like really Machiavellian, but with good intentions, and one who's just become a dick and for some reason has forgotten everything that happened before. It's like, we can't take any chance of letting people who can't be contained loose. In the meantime, I'll send the Thunderbolts after my old comrades and forget that the Avengers' second lineup ever was 3 former terrorists and a World War II veteran who was still adjusting to the modern day after being frozen for decades.
Yeah.
And they had to actually wipe his brain to fix him after Civil War.
Exactly.
So...
Like, it was bizarre, and it does not work. Whereas the movie, for reasons we've talked about on this show many, many times, really works. You really are divided on what side to be on. You've got, like, Tony makes a reasonable argument, but from the beginning where we see him not just having a flashback, as other movies would have done, but actually using holographic technology to recreate the parent, his last time with his parents, showing it to people with the literal understanding of, I can only see what my brain wants me to see, and I'm still dealing with this decades later. I'm still not over it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to carry these issues into a scene 5 minutes from now where a woman blames me for killing her child.
And the whole father-son thing, because he's giving this speech to inspire young minds, and then when he recruits Spidey an hour later, you're like, oh, right, okay, this is weird.
Yeah, it's just
it's
like...
working
so
really well, and that's what's weird.
It's so well constructed. The conversation between Cap and Tony, just like, no, you're not. No, I'm not. Like, that gave you more a sense of these guys have become bros than either the Avengers films did.
Yeah.
Like, you had a sense of, even if we haven't
just
seen
like
it, they've done stuff
a simple little
together.
exchange.
Yeah.
Just that simple little exchange of... So, like,
Show,
sometimes
don't
I wish
tell.
that I could turn the other way. No, you don't. No, I don't.
Yeah,
like,
show, don't tell.
Yeah,
show,
exactly.
don't tell. Like,
all right,
it's
well,
so good.
We've now spent 7 minutes on Civil War, which...
I'm fine with it.
No, I'm totally fine with it. I have off, like, in terms of the sides, I will close with this. In the movie universe, if I were to be a normal citizen in the movie universe, I'd be on Iron Man's side. But as a fan watching the movie, I'm like, well, no, but I'm on Captain America's side because I want freedom. But like in that world, I'd be like, no, control these guys. They blow up the world. No, control them.
I was saying on a panel,
this is how you want to end this. Like, just before we depart, let's discuss the actual central issue of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, like, and I've talked about this on panels when we've been promoting our book, Captain America vs. Iron Man, the psychology book. The first time that the Avengers ever did a report to S.H.I.E.L.D. and said, by the way, this guy Kang altered history or some such, we put it back. Nick Fury should have been like, what do you mean you put history back? Like, no, we like went back in time, changed the right stuff, so everything's back to normal. Like, wait, on whose authority did you change
on whose
time?
authority did you do this?
And like, did you check that everything's back to where it was? Did you...
Are you 100% certain?
Which actually does raise the good issue of, like, because I'm in general not very sensitive to the, like, we can't get approval for everything we do sort of thing, except that, like, if you are literally in a time emergency and you need to fix it, you can't go back and check that it's okay to try and prevent the world from being destroyed.
Yeah, it's a great...
Like, that's not a practical ability to
No,
have.
not at all. But just that no one has ever... That it took so long for issues like Civil War. I mean, even in the 80s, they had the Mutant Registration Act, but that was all about mutants, not about the fact that by that point the Avengers had sort of rebooted reality a couple times between encounters with cosmic cubes and Korvac and other things. It's like just
interestingly,
like
to me, the lack of mutant registration as a factor is one thing that I was really fascinated in going into Civil War, because a big part of the reason that I knew what side I was on in Civil War, even though they kind of pulled that the X-Men are just going to not participate thing, it didn't ever... That didn't make a ton of sense. So in my head, I was always regarding the Superhuman Registration Act as something that, like, by necessity includes an entire class of people who have no choice about opting in or out, and therefore it made the conflict very simple for me in the comics.
in
a way that they don't really use in the movie, and I thought that would hurt the movie, but I think it ended up kind of helping the conflict.
Oh, absolutely. All right, we've got to move on.
Yeah, sorry.
No, because we're 10 minutes in, and it's like, we haven't talked about the news at all.
News!
I have a question before we get started.
Doom.
Not about Civil War.
Let's talk about Black Panther for a while,
since you
folks.
guys never introduced yourselves, both of you.
Yeah, no, that's what I was trying to get to, dude.
I was curious if Alan was cosplaying Koi with that leather jacket and Deadpool t-shirt.
Oh, closet cosplay Koi.
There you go. Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Koi jumped into the chat for a minute just to say hi, so shout out to you, Koi.
Hey, Koi. I miss you. So this is show number 99. Subscribe to us on iTunes at Marvel Movie News or find us at youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network. You can also find us on the website, popcorntalknetwork.com, or on Twitter at Marvel News PTN, or at the Popcorn Talk, or on Facebook.com/Marvel News Show. Doom will retweet you with a message if you tell people about our chat. My name is Matt Key at the Matt Key. We've got Kissler over here, Alan Kissler at Scissor Kissler, and we've got Amy Dolan at Enthusi Amy.
Indeed,
correct?
Amy Dolan.
And then we've got the voice of Doom in the booth, and we are now 10:45 into the show, and we finally done our introductions, and I did them as fast as I can. Let's talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay. I mean, as long as we're here.
So we've got our first official look at Ghost Rider, who's being played by Gabriel Luna. The Ghost Rider is not Danny Ketch or Johnny Blaze. It is Robbie Reyes, a more recent incarnation of the Ghost Rider, who is not necessarily the spirit of vengeance.
Alejandra? What's her name? There was another one.
Was there another one?
There was a female before.
Was there?
Yes,
Oh, man.
yes, very briefly, and then she went a little far, and Blaze took the power back from her because that's a weird trope.
You gotta take the power back.
That's a weird trope we keep doing in comics and sci-fi.
Ladies,
of like
am I right?
the ladies, the dames. Dames is trouble. The trouble, the dames.
Speaking of,
See? The trouble with dames is trouble.
Amy just killed Silver Surfer.
I
didn't know it was possible.
Right then.
I didn't know it was possible to kill Norrin Rad, the Herald of Galactus. If you're listening to our show on iTunes and you didn't see that, Amy just demolished all the toys that took me 20 minutes to set up before the show.
I'll let
trouble,
Because dames.
dames. I'll
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
So we've got Robbie Reyes. We also got news last week that Lorenzo James Henry from Fear the Walking Dead will be playing Gabe Reyes, Robbie's paralyzed younger brother, who Robbie is solely responsible for since their parents have both passed on. So I'm excited to see that relationship. But the big news is that we finally got this is what Ghost Rider will look like in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if it's concept art or what, but we got it.
It's a promo photo.
Yeah. Doom, you are way more connected to this and have much more opinion on this. Do you want to tell us what you're thinking about it?
Although I'm a big Ghost Rider fan, I'm just going to say that right now.
Are you really?
I'm a huge Ghost Rider fan. Yeah.
We cover different sides then.
I am
'cause,
not.
I'm not. I can't say I'm a huge Ghost Rider fan, but I am a big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan.
Get out.
This is my shock face.
I'm gonna pop in with my major reaction to this photo. I don't know if you all have the side by side. Is just that as a comic book fan, I was astounded and grateful when I saw this photo, because if you pop it up side by side with Felipe Smith's variant cover for All New Ghost Rider #1 from, I'm gonna say, 2014.
Sounds about right.
It is an unbelievably faithful reproduction of that specific image. And Robbie Reyes, as you guys know, is the newest of the Ghost Riders. He was only created a couple of years ago. I'm very biased on this because I've talked to his creator on other shows, and he's a super cool dude. The guys, Felipe Smith is the sort of lead. I think he created him with Tradmore, the artist, and possibly their editor, Mark Paniccia. But Felipe's sort of been the, motivating spirit behind this new Ghost Rider, and it's been cool talking to him as they developed this, because they're taking it so closely from what he made for the comics quite recently, and I'm just blown away by it. They had the car at Comic-Con, and like everyone else, when they introduced this new guy, I made fun of it because I was like, Ghost Driver? He's in a car now. But it turned out the story was good, and that's actually what I care about. So it's been really fun to follow this ride, and Felipe was saying at Con, he was signing at a booth right next to Marvel when they unveiled all this stuff. And somebody was like, the creator's right over there. And they pulled him over and, pulled him up on stage. And then, he got to sit in the car and see this thing that he created out of his mind reproduced down to the little, skulls on the locks inside the door.
That's so awesome.
So I'm super biased on this, but I think this is amazing.
Here's what
Is that the cover you're talking about?
Yep. You can see the bottom part there is the rest of the car. This is kind of a weird cropped sideways version of it.
Sure.
But he's standing in front of the car with the flaming wheels. It is a mirror image, exact like match of the promotional photo.
Yeah, I agree. I like it.
I'm torn on this photo because
You know what? Enough of your negativity.
No.
The skull looks okay. It looks good.
So is it not Scully enough for you?
There's a proportion thing that I feel like is off in this.
There's some jaw
I don't know
issues.
if it's the darkness of the jacket against the dark background, but his body looks way too big
I can see that.
to me.
I can see that.
And I think it's partially that because like physically a skull must be smaller than a head.
Sure.
But it looks like his head is too small for the body.
A bit of a pinhead. I can see that. I can see your complaint. I think the biggest thing that I'm excited to see the story unfold. I'm excited to see the character. I'm excited that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to do something different and use magic and maybe find a way to bridge their show with Doctor Strange. Like, I'm excited for all of that, but the skull just looks cartoony to me. And that's the only thing that's the only negative thing I've got about what they're doing. Like, I'm excited to see what they do with it on the show, and I don't hate the show. Like, I think the show's all right.
I mean, seeing a promo photo is not the same as seeing it in action.
Of course.
You know, so we still really haven't seen Ghost Rider in action. You know, we're getting a taste, but
we do have this promo.
Oh God, Doom's gonna make us watch this promo. Oh,
play it.
Go ahead, Doom. Ugh. Okay, we'll watch a Marvel thing.
Hey, it's a car.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ghost Rider, Tuesday, September 20th, new time, 10/9 Central, ABC.
Oh, September 20th. That's coming up.
It's in a week.
Sure is.
Wow, I didn't realize it was only a week away. Oh. You know, here's what I noticed, and I think maybe it's because the audio is different through our headphones, but that promo was kind of funny because you just heard like varying degrees of gear shifting. All there was.
Yeah, it's like Ghost Rider, pick a gear. Like what?
Yeah, it's like, where are you going? Like, what are you like? Are you going over like a roller coaster in your ghost car? Like,
Do you not get stick? Do you not get this? Did they not have stick in hell?
How do cars work?
Yeah, it was just kind of funny. I don't mean to make fun.
You can
I'm
tell
sorry.
it's a fake skull. You did not just say that in the chat. Of course it's a fake. What?
They didn't get a real skull guy for this?
They didn't set someone on fire?
They didn't get a skull actor for this.
By the way, Nadeem in the chat has a birthday tomorrow. And
Oh, happy birthday, Nadine!
birthday,
Or September 15th, I'm sorry. Either way, happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, September 15th, Nadeem.
I will say the actor, he looks dead on for Robbie. The actor
He does.
they cast for
He
his
does.
brother
He
is
He
a
does.
little bit more of a grown-up than I
Yeah,
expected.
a little
'Cause
bit.
He's like a kid brother he's got like an unspecified disability and he gets his wheelchair stolen, and
Sure.
that's what sort of motivates Robbie in the first place to like enter dangerous races to
Yeah.
try and like save his brother from bullies. It's super sweet, in a messed up spirit of vengeance way. It goes really dark places, by the way. Volume 2, all new Ghost Rider. But I was surprised, like I was really excited that they were doing his story and that they had cast his brother, but his brother's like 23, so.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too. All right, we've got to
baby
move on.
face, though.
Last thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a big Ghost Rider fan. I'm excited for it. I've not enjoyed the movies. The second one was slightly worse than the first one.
Oh, that's so weird. Sequels are usually better.
Yeah, but it was written by David Goyer of Batman v Superman fame.
Yeah,
So
no, he's great.
But the fact that they're including Ghost Rider in a show is way cool. It's interesting to me that it's Shield and not say his own miniseries. Because I'm
Yeah,
very
I really wanted to have a
This is
Midnight
an interesting
Suns,
place
Netflix,
to-
Marvel.
I-
series.
But this
would've-
doesn't preclude that.
This doesn't
That's
preclude
a
that.
good thing about
It
these
doesn't.
characters. Yeah.
And also, like, Netflix is becoming, like, when you're only doing sort of the darker themed characters, you go into danger of being generic. And throwing
Sure.
him into a show like S.H.I.E.L.D., it's interesting because, one, you have actually more mainstream market.
Sure.
Because people can just catch on channel flipping. And also, he's going to have to be part of an ensemble. So I'm very
Sure.
curious about that because it's always
Well, is he
interesting
going to
to
be part
see.
of the ensemble, or I'm just curious. 'Cause
Or
I
like a
haven't followed-
recurring
or
character.
Is this just like this is our big season opener, we have Ghost Rider, we're done now?
That's also,
You know,
yeah.
I think he's probably going to end up a little bit like Deathlock from
Yeah,
the
that's
first
what-
couple
that's how I'm
seasons, where
thinking
like
of it,
he comes in at key
surprise
points and then
comeback,
kinda-
yeah.
Right,
Because
that's
the effects are too much to have.
Yeah,
him in
oh,
every
absolutely,
single
absolutely.
episode.
But I could see him, like I could see Robbie showing up,
Absolutely.
as more of a recurring
Absolutely.
character. Right, that's what I
Absolutely.
mean. And yeah, also, frankly, like as the Latin Irish kid, I'm just like, yeah, Latin hero. All right, let's
Yeah.
finally Marvel put one out there. Like if you can set this up so that he can show up in one of the Avengers movies later, even like in a little cameo, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the car looks badass. I'm
Car's
down.
pretty cool.
I'm so down for this. I'll start watching S.H.I.E.L.D. again for this.
Dolan, thoughts?
I'm excited.
Okay, cool.
I can't.
Oh, Doom, God,
Yes.
what, Doom, what?
Let me express my excitement. No, it's gonna be fun, and since I know we only have limited amount of time to talk about it on Marvel Movie News, be sure to tune into AfterBuzz because we're gonna geek out hardcore.
Nice. All right.
At a new time because we're gonna follow East Coast time, so now we're taping at 8 p.m. Pacific
Whoa,
Standard Time.
fancy.
Because they moved it back so we'd be taping at like midnight.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Accurate.
All right, let's talk Punisher real quick over on Netflix. As we've heard a rumor this week that Ben Barnes has been cast as Bobby Saint, and even the site TV Line was like, "We've heard that he's Bobby Saint?" ? So like, there's nothing. I think the biggest thing is that he's an antagonist. I think he's probably going to be an antagonist, whether it's Bobby Saint or not. I don't know. There he is. He's an incredibly handsome man. A beautiful boy. Bobby Saint, as far as I can tell, I'm not the biggest. I'm not up on my Punisher like I am on my Doctor Strange. But Bobby Saint, I think, was just in the Punisher film. I don't think he's an
Right,
actual
with Tom
character.
Jane's Punisher.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
when-
he's
They
not.
made him up for
2004.
that, right?
Yeah. He's totally made up for that.
Yeah,
so
I've
if
got
he's
another picture of the character from the film just to show.
he was one of twins in the film.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, it's something that's not clear unless you see the director's cut. But his brother in the beginning, like you can tell it's the same actor just wearing facial hair. But yeah, it's his twin brother.
Yeah.
Who gets killed in the movie, which then provokes the action, and. But yeah, like if this guy is Bobby Saint, he's going to be Bobby Saint in name only. They're going to come up with their own story.
Yeah,
'Cause
they'll come up with their own
really
thing.
there was.
They won't stay faithful to the legacy of
Yeah.
that well-developed character Bobby Saint.
And you know what? I effing love Tom Jane, and I thought he makes a great Punisher, but the Saints were not interesting characters, and Bobby
No.
was just angry twin brother. Like, he had no personality to him. So yeah, whatever. Like, if it is Bobby Saint, fine. That still doesn't tell us anything.
doesn't tell us anything. And for all we know, it's like he's in one episode. I mean, I think that the article said like he's a recurring character throughout the season, but I'm just like, man, I really don't want it to be Bobby Saint. You know, like I don't know who I want it to be, but I'm just like, don't make it a character you made it for a film. Like, pull from the comics. There's like 1,000 characters you can pull from the comics. Why would you do Bobby Saint? You know,
Just leave Jigsaw alone for a while. That's everyone keeps wanting to go like, oh, Jigsaw, like,
Jigsaw.
but dude, yeah, he's scarred. Do something else for a bit, like before you get to Jigsaw.
All right, let's move on to Infinity War, where we got a picture, I believe it was on the Twitter of the Russo brothers, and all they said was rehearsal, and it's a picture of them in a nondescript location studio with Josh Brolin just chilling in a motion capture suit.
He looks sort of like just a Smurf, just
bit.
hanging out.
A bit. You say Smurf.
In what way?
Like you can't see it here too much, but it's very blue. His outfit.
His suit is very blue. I saw him as the
a tall Smurf.
the girl, the plum girl from Willy Wonka.
Violet.
There we go.
Violet.
Yeah.
But not one of the Na'vi from Avatar.
No. I make it a point to never think of that film as much as I can.
That's fair.
I find my life is better when I don't think of that film.
Did anybody else notice that he's still sitting?
I did.
Even
Who is the purple man? Why is he always sitting?
I have to take a break from this shoot. Better sit over here now.
Better sit
In
over
a less
here.
comfortable chair, ironically.
Oh, that's funny. Well done, Doom. So anyway, Infinity War arrives on 2018, and that will it's an as yet untitled sequel in 2019. While we're on the subject, because screw it, why not? What do you guys think is going to be the fourth Avengers film? Because it was Infinity War Part 1, Part 2. Now they're
Right.
saying it's the third film is Avengers Infinity War. So what's the fourth film?
Clean up.
Avengers Damage Control?
Yeah. It's just,
We're not doing the TV series anymore because it's now a major motion
Yep.
picture.
they're
Fourth
being
Avengers.
audited, and it's just there's actually a fantastic Avengers issue.
Yeah.
It's in the 50s. It's right before Jeff Johns took over the book and right after Kurt Busiek's long run. But I want to say it's in the 50s.
I thought you meant the 1950s. I was like,
No. Like,
And I thought you meant
I'm talking about
50s from,
issue
like,
number.
1970, whatever.
I mean that's why I had to bring up the writers.
well done.
After Heroes Reborn, who remembers that?
Let's not.
it was
Put it in a file with the Avatar movie.
it was this one issue where an accountant from the Maria Stark Foundation, which at that time was still funding the Avengers, was interviewing all the Avengers about what happened and why do we have to pay for this part of the street, this cop car, this whatever.
Wow,
and so
she was going line item.
Yeah, so you had all these Avengers, like you basically had this framing device of the audit, like telling you then about this story that they went on with the elements of evil. And it was so great because you see, like, U.S. agents like, I don't have time for this. Like, I did what I had to. It's like, but you blew up this car when you didn't have to. I did what I had to. And you come in with Captain America, like, so I've written down here what happened. I have here a receipt from the city. This is a documentation from the cop I talked to. And he kind of was like, Captain, it is always so helpful from you. Thank you so. It is always a joy to speak to you. Just
so ridiculous.
All this stuff.
So you think?
So I would, yeah.
Avengers
2
4
hours
will
of
be
that.
Avengers accountability.
Avengers audit,
Yeah, Avengers audit. Yeah. Do you have an opinion?
I've been sort of debating, like, do you go for something deliberately smaller stakes, or do you just, like, because you can't go bigger than Infinity War, or do you, like, is that a great idea that allows you to establish a varied template for this, or is it a terrible idea because people will always be sad if you go backwards in stakes and you have to just come up with some kind of left turn where it's like, well, if that was the universe, now it's time travel.
Yeah.
Like, do you try to match that intensity with some kind of surprising direction, or do you deliberately scale back to establish that an Avengers movie can be more than one kind of movie?
I mean, you bring up an excellent point, because, I mean, even the second movie, Joss had originally intended that to be more of a quieter, character-driven film to have it contrast against the first Avengers film. And that got thrown out the window so that we got a quiet scene in a barn.
Yeah.
And then Ultron. And a lot of robot hate. And I mean, it's one of those, if they had the rights to Kang, and we've confirmed that they don't. If Marvel Studios had the rights to Kang, I would totally expect.
Have we confirmed they don't?
Yeah, they've talked about it.
I think Fox has
that they're not allowed. It's not necessarily like that Fox definitely has it, but it's enough of a gray area that they're not using Kang. Like they've said that. Whereas if we had the rights to Kang, I would expect that's where number 4 could go, because after Infinity Gauntlet, then you can have this sort of. I sort of view it as like after Wrath of Khan, you did have Search for Spock, but then you had let's have the fun movie of time travel with whales. And so I could sort of see that as that, where like with time travel you can have seriousness and ridiculousness, where you could bring in the Marvel Western heroes, you could have Phantom Rider, speaking of writers, stuff like that. But we don't have Kang. Yeah. So yeah, I would honestly, especially with certain contracts running out and with certain people becoming more expensive than they were when you first signed them on.
Sure.
I would see, and I also am biased. I would like this. I would like to see number 4 as sort of cleaning the slate and allowing a new generation of heroes to step up. Whatever that means, whether that means like Bucky becoming Cap, or Falcon becoming Cap, or Jane becoming Thor, or a different Jane becoming Thor, whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I would like to see like Infinity War sort of like as almost like a transition into a newer Avengers team, and like for it not to be like Avengers : something else, but for the 4th film to be the new Avengers, because it's like we have that title like right after what was it, the Disassembled, and then Avengers Breakout and everything, like the new Avengers start. I would kind of like to see that, and then have like
hilariously that cast is the Defenders now.
Right. But like Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, like all the Phase 3 like Ant-Man and like going off without Hulk and without so. Maybe Groot stays behind and fills the Hulk quota. I don't know. Anyway, let's. God, Doom! What?
We got breaking news.
What is it?
So, when it came out within the last hour, this is such small news, but the Russos were talking about the possibility of television characters appearing in Infinity War, and everyone's freaking out because they gave it the slightest, smallest like crack in the window. They said, we don't want to get too specific about what's going to happen with these movies. We want these movies to be a surprise for audiences. We do consider everyone.
Cool.
Yeah.
Doors open.
Yeah.
I feel like they've said that 1,000 other times. Like,
but the internet's going nuts.
No, it's fair. It's fair. I mean, everyone's excited to see Daredevil fight alongside the Avengers, and I would love to see that too. But
just put him in a scene with Widow, for the love of God.
I honestly, I keep thinking of the Galactus story where the Avengers, this is during the John Byrne era, where the Avengers and Fantastic Four are fighting Galactus basically in the streets of New York, and Spider-Man and Daredevil show up, and they see the battle, and they both go, you know what, they're good. Yeah, we're good. We're not gonna add anything to this. Yeah. And they just sit there on the rooftop and just kind of watch.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would love to see an extension of that where Spidey just sort of looks at Daredevil like, you wanna, Tony's on the street. You wanna get a hot dog? Little hot dog, little mustard, little relish.
Looks like these guys have got it.
Yeah, and Matt's like, we can't have hot dogs. Like, of course we can. Like, chill out for a little bit. Like, it's not always dark, man.
It's a giant cosmic entity trying to eat our planet. I don't know how much my webbing is going to do here.
Like, do you see that? Do you see the size of his helmet? It's amazing. Like, come on, let's have a hot dog. Little relish, little mustard. Come on.
Please, we're all going to die here today. We may as well die.
Amazing, like Marvel's short or deleted scene. Like,
I would love that. Yeah, I have the same reaction. I'm always like, why is Daredevil rushing in to fight Galactus? Don't do that, Daredevil. It's cool. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, oh, I heard him walking towards. You know what? People in Toronto heard him walking towards you. So, all right, let's talk Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We don't have any news with that except that Chris Pratt, in an interview with Toronto Sun, said, "I think it's going to be. I'm not using hyperbole here. I think it's going to be the biggest spectacle movie of all time." So. I mean, maybe he's excited. Sounds like he is. But yeah, I just think that's cool. I think that it's good to see a celebrity like a star who's in the film that's so excited that he's like, look, this isn't hyperbole. Like, this is the biggest film ever. This is just biggest. This is the biggest. This is the biggest.
Oh, I love
don't know. I'm excited about it.
This isn't hyperbole, but the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
The biggest spectacle, not the greatest. The biggest spectacle.
Oh, but does he mean the biggest film in the spectacle category, or does he mean the most spectacle-using film of all time, or does he mean it will make the most money, or does he mean it'll have the most impact?
Grammar matters, Mr. Key.
Let me call Chris Pratt and ask him to diagram the sentence for us.
Yes.
Can you please parse how you meant that, Mr. Pratt?
Does he mean that we'll invent a new type of screen and it will be physically larger than other spectacle movies?
Yes. It was all filmed in IMAX.
Confirmed. IMAX cubed. Coming to you for Guardians.
It's all in 7 dimensions. They discovered 2 dimensions to make this film.
Was I the only one that read that in Andy Dwyer's voice? And he just pronounced it hyperbole. And then immediately goes against what he said.
All right,
you see, there was that MTV dude, Horowitz, I think, who was interviewing Evans and Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And he was trying to crack wise, and he was saying, like, well, can we agree, like, with the 2 Chris's here, that Chris Pratt is the worst of the Marvel Chris's, and Hemsworth just really got serious, like, no, he's the best. And you saw Chris Evans just look, he's better than all of us. Like, the reverence everyone has for Chris Pratt who meets him, and Chris Evans and Chris Pratt are bros, like the biggest bros.
Yeah.
So that just brought me joy.
No, I did.
You will never divide the Chris's.
No,
I did
the Marvel Chris's.
I did Groundlings with Lee Newton, who did SourceFed. I don't know if you know her, but she, while we were doing that, it was right as Guardians had come out. Like, I did a couple sketches about how much I loved Guardians, and she actually, like, in a Vaughn's grocery store, ran into Chris Pratt like a week after the film's release, and they talked for like 25-30 minutes in the middle of like the detergent aisle about his working through various comedy theaters, and then how he got his like start, and how like Guardians went, and how much she loved it and how much he loved it. And
I've heard stories about
guy.
This.
Like,
I've heard similar stories of people who meet Chris Pratt, just that he doesn't know that he's Chris Pratt, basically.
Yeah.
That he's still Andy.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. So let's get off of our Pratt love and go over to some Wolverine 3 love, where we heard. So I have not watched X-Men Apocalypse on DVD Blu-ray yet. I haven't listened to the commentary, so I don't have the direct quote. And I tried to find it online and couldn't find it online. Apparently, though, Bryan Singer, whenever that end credit scene comes up with Essex Corps going in and getting the blood or whatever else, apparently Bryan Singer says in the commentary, oh, well, yes, and this is setting up Mr. Sinister, who will be one of the main antagonists in Wolverine 3. So there's been a little bit of speculation. Before that, this seems like it's a bit more confirmation of that. And we know that Richard E. Grant, an actor, is playing a mad scientist character. So now a lot of people are assuming that perhaps Richard E. Grant is playing Nathaniel Essex, a.k.a. Mr. Sinister in Wolverine 3. So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that, except that...
he seems like he's a good fit.
He seems like he would be a perfect fit.
He would be a great fit.
Yeah.
He would be... Richard E. Grant, like, I've been a fan of his since, with Noel and I, him and Paul McGann, which is also doubly fun.
That's why he looks so familiar.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's such a good movie, and it's also fun for me as a Doctor Who dude because both of them were doctors at a certain point.
Wait, Richard E. Grant was a doctor?
He was actually... There was a time when it was just decided... Well, it was just sort of understood, like, Doctor Who's never coming back to TV. Mm-hmm. And so the BBC decided, but there are enough geeks who check out this new internet thing and who look on our BBC Cult website where we keep all the Doctor Who stuff from the old days. Let's do a continuation series there. Mm-hmm. And so they started doing animated series that was going directly online.
Oh.
And that was considered to be the official continuation of the classic show. And Richard E. Grant was cast as the Ninth Doctor. Huh. And Paul Cornell wrote he was the showrunner, essentially, of this animated series. And they released the first storyline, which is 6 episodes, Scream of the Shalka. And yeah, it was Richard E. Grant as the Doctor, Derek Jacobi as the Master. And it was during this time then, though, that Russell T. Davies got involved with the BBC and said, I want to bring back Doctor Who. And enough power had changed now where people were like, yeah, okay, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
So then he had to call Paul Cornell and say, like, I can't work your thing into my continuity with my plans. Like, it just, there's too many things. So Richard E. Grant then became an alternate universe Doctor. But for a couple months, the BBC was all, this is the Ninth Doctor. And then later they brought him. Then later they brought him back as a villain, where he reprised the Great Intelligence, who was originally a Second Doctor villain.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's a Shakespearean actor, definitely savvy with sci-fi. Also has a great comedic timing, which I think often makes you a very good dramatic actor. If you are a good comedic actor.
I mean, he just has that that look of someone who's been around since the Victorian era.
Yeah. Oh no, he does extremely well in period pieces.
Yeah.
He's got that great English Victorian scowl he can do.
Yeah. Like I'm actually when this news broke, I was like, wait, so he was great for Mr. Sinister. Like I'm not super familiar with the character. He's never been one of my favorites. But just his look and everything else, I'm like, oh, he could absolutely be.
It's weird to think of him
Essex.
like I think it's going to be great. It makes total sense that Sinister would be into Wolverine. It's funny for me because I will always associate Sinister with just being super obsessed with Scott and Jean.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But it totally makes sense. He's a villain who would still be around in the future. It doesn't mean that he's not around now because that's how Sinister rolls. And somebody very interested in the possibilities of genetic material, is going to be into Wolverine.
I have a question.
No.
No? Okay. No, that's fair.
It's kind of, yes, we disregard.
Who was responsible for creating the Marauders? Was it Mr. Sinister? Because in my mind, the Marauders, like the dude on the tank treads and everything else, were from Mr. Sinister. But am I wrong?
I don't know if he put them. He hired them for sure.
I mean,
he's worked with them. I know.
Are you thinking the Reavers?
Maybe I'm. The
cyborg dudes are the Reavers.
Are you sure?
And the Marauders are that's like Sinister's kill squad of mutants.
Okay, so I'm getting them confused because it feels like there's been rumor that the Marauders are in the Wolverine film.
Right. So that would make sense because Sinister was supposed to be behind them.
Okay. That's all I was thinking.
Yeah, but the
who's the tank guy? I don't remember him.
The tank, I think that's one of the Reavers. I think that's who you're thinking of with all the cyborgs and Pierce was later a part of them. They show up around the same time.
Is that the Reavers?
Yeah. Yeah. No, go ahead, look it up.
I know this is ridiculous to challenge Kistler.
No, it's not. I am fallible. I can totally misremember things. Absolutely. I do not buy into
Marauders is like Avalanche, the harpoon guy.
Well, lucky for you, Kistler, my internet's not working.
Riptide.
Riptide.
Blockbuster. Later Sabretooth. Gambit was retroactively revealed to have been one of the Marauders.
Uncanny 350.
Yeah. And Sinister is one of those characters where I love the concept. Most stories I find him very replaceable. with like any mad scientist who would happen to be working for whoever the hell is there. But then there are some stories where I'm like, he's really just... I think, honestly, the best stuff with him was Age of Apocalypse, where in this parallel timeline, in this alternate timeline, he raises Scott and Alex Summers, and you got to see... He's still clearly a villain, but you got to see this other side to him. And so that's when I found him very interesting.
Yeah.
I can see that. I find him very serviceable in his standard role as someone who, like... You know, the X-Men are all about, like, no, we're not better than ordinary people. And I like as a version of, like, it's not the straight-up apocalypse, we are superior to them.
Yeah.
Well, especially because
but
he's
Sinister,
not a mutant.
Like, but he revels in, like the whole reason, the kind of guy who would hire the Marauders to clean out the Morlocks.
Yes.
Like, the kind of mad scientist who wants to create and enforce a purity like that, or, like, that's that worst version of... Like, the meanest version of survival of the fittest. Apocalypse isn't mean because he's just, like, evil and that sort of... The kind of... A human who would grow into and want that to be their vision of the world, that's the kind of evil Sinister represents, and I've always liked that about him.
And there's something attractive about the fact that you can reason with him. Like, if you find something that's like, look, I know you like to do this, but... If you do this, then blank happens, and then neither of us is happy.
Very susceptible to self-interest arguments,
Yeah, he might actually listen, like, oh, you're right, all right, fine.
Yeah,
you know,
I won't do that.
Like, he actually is... He lives up to his name more than many villains. At the same time, it's a stupid name.
And
It's
that's why I've never been a big fan.
It's from the 90s, where we were just, like, throwing stuff at the wall, like, what's his name? Power cord. What? Fine. Cable. Like, whatever. It doesn't... What is it? Why is he called
His
Cable?
name is Coax.
Doesn't
Why
matter.
isn't he Dr. Sinister? I don't know, just go with it.
This guy's Commander X. This is Adam
Dr.
X.
Sinister, because he's a brilliant geneticist doctor. But
and this bothers me about Reed Richards all these years as well. And when we retcon Mr. Freeze's origin to make him Dr. Victor Freeze, like, why are you demoting yourself, bro?
Yeah.
You are Dr. Freeze.
You're not a Mister.
You're Dr.
You
Fantastic.
went
at
to...
the very least, call yourself Master Sinister.
Yeah, or Professor Sinister, whatever. Like, also, who's really calling themselves Sinister, though?
Especially when your name is Essex. Like, I'm gonna call myself... That's like, whenever it was like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. It's like, no, you wouldn't say evil.
I mean, they worked in the 60s, and then they tried in the 80s to talk about, like, well, Magneto was trying to be ironic, because...
No, he wasn't.
It's like,
I love those arguments. They're
guys,
so fun.
this is dumb. Let's just wipe the slate clean.
No, they're trying to
Like, just... It's Brotherhood...
Subvert the box you've put them in. They're wearing it as a label.
All right, well, let's move away from Wolverine 3. We're excited to see how that... Apparently, like, footages will be out by the end of the year or something like that. So, Luke Cage, it hits our screens on September 30th, just a couple weeks away now. As such, we're starting to see a lot more promotional material come out. We've only had the one trailer. Like, usually by this time, we've had, like, 17 trailers. And, like...
Jessica Jones, they were each, like, a second long.
Yeah, those were slivers and teasers.
Yeah, they were like, they called them motion posters and everything else. Like, they haven't done anything like that with...
But they needed that for Jessica because no one had any idea who she was.
Yeah, so Luke Cage, they're not... The promotion has not been as pushed, which I'm fine with. Like, I'm already excited about it. I feel like a lot of people are already excited. If the people who are going to be excited about it are already excited about it. And then hopefully word of mouth will push other people to watch it. So... but we do have two not trailers, but clips that we've seen. One just came out maybe last night, today, I can't remember, like within the last 24 hours.
I have no sense of time.
No, I know you are no Kang. That's what we say of you all the time.
Yeah,
terrible Kang.
Yeah.
Matt Kissler, he's no Kang.
Alan, not Kang Kissler. That's what we say.
Why would you bring that up as we're going to the movies? I'm just saying.
Alan,
just
not
saying.
Kang.
You're certainly not.
Not Kang Kissler. That's what we say.
You guys want to watch one of them?
Which one are you showing us?
I believe it's the Cottonmouth one.
Sure, that's the one that just came out.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, I only bring the freshest news.
Oh, Doom, fresh news, Doom. That's what we call
Fresh
you.
news Doom. That's what we always say.
You like my Biggie photo? Me too. You know what draws your eye when you look at that? The crown. Wanna know why? Because everybody wants to be the king.
Oh, like, that's such a good villain
Oh my god,
Like-
all the Netflix villains, like, I want a series just art appreciation devoted to, the choices
Yeah.
of each Netflix villain. Like,
Yeah.
your white painting, your giant photo of Jessica, your giant photo of it. Like,
Biggie
express
Smalls, yeah.
yourself on your walls, Netflix villain.
Yeah, no, that is actually really
Well, I
funny.
mean, the we talked about this before. The Marvel Netflix approach has been really color based, and it gives such a beautiful atmosphere to each show, gives a distinction to each
Yeah.
show, while keeping them clearly like this is the same New York. You're not questioning if this is a different New York than what Daredevil
and it's all like
lives in,
relatively similar neighborhoods, like close in
Well,
proximity. Well,
supposed
in this
to be
universe,
like
in this universe
again.
yeah.
Like I'm looking at things like that bar is not in Hell's Kitchen. That's on 12th. Come on, like that's on the east side. What are you doing? That bus that kills Luke Cage's wife kills me every time because it's like, oh, it's down on 14th. No, that's not. That can't possibly be. That's maybe 56, maybe 58th. Like that's. I mean, it's down on 14th, but it's way over too far, and that bus is clearly the 57M. It doesn't effing work.
see-
I was watching first season Daredevil with a friend from New York, and I think it was like they find Madam What's-Her-Face's drug lab, and he's like, that's a pizza place. I've been to that corner.
Oh yeah, no, it totally is. Like, honestly, though, the most unrealistic thing about the Netflix Marvel shows is the lack of gay bars in Hell's Kitchen,
Yeah.
and the Lower East Side. It's like, no, impossible. Matt's passing by at least a couple gay bars on the way home.
Yeah.
Come on, he's right above Chelsea. Please.
So, but what I love that because it's just like everything that I've heard is that Cottonmouth is every bit as like sinister and menacing and quiet and in control as Fisk, which was great. Like I love that was like one of the best parts of Daredevil. So to think that like Luke Cage is going to have his own sort of like I'm very much in control sort of like villain.
Right.
Like I'm excited. Like even though it's a bit of a rehashing and I understand that, like I'm still excited to see it. Like I love that kind of a villain who's like in absolute control and knows it.
A master plan guy is a good antagonist.
Yeah.
Well, also, like a mobster doesn't rise very far if you're going off the cannon all the time.
Yeah.
Like I mean, we all saw Goodfellas. We saw what happened to Joe Pesci. you can't just shoot whoever you want to. Then you get whacked, and then Ray Liotta goes to jail.
Yeah, and we can't have Ray Liotta in jail. Come on, Luke Cage, keep Ray Liotta out of jail.
That's the moral of every story.
So we've got that one, and it's good to see like that, the picture that we've seen so much with Cottonmouth, played by Mahershala Ali, I believe is his name. The picture we've always seen is like the crown, like behind him, like that Biggie Smalls painting behind him. So to see like that in context is just like I'm excited about it. So we also have the other clip that we don't have time to see. Doom. I want to see it very badly, but we're 47 minutes into our show. Is Luke Cage, played by Mike Coulter, in the restaurant taking down the bad guys. Did you guys see that one
I
also?
did.
Oh, so fun. And he catches the bullet. He catches the bullet, and then he like shows it, and it's got like the scorch marks, and he's like, all right.
I'm gonna be that person.
You didn't like it?
No, I love it. But it was impossible to watch this clip and not be like, if your whole goal was that these restaurant owners wouldn't have to pay a bunch of money, who's replacing that window?
That window,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you were a small business owner, Luke Cage. You know that is a
You run your
difficult
own
thing to come
business.
back
no,
from.
that's fair. That's fair.
No, that is not real shade. I am desperately excited for this.
Yeah.
But
Especially
it was hard not to think.
No, especially in a city that is still recovering from the Avengers who,
Yeah,
God bless
the
them,
incident.
did their best to keep the damage contained, unlike heroes of other movies. But there was still a lot of damage.
Yeah, no, there was. My favorite part of the Luke Cage thing in the restaurant was he walks in, he's like, y'all don't want to do that, and they're like, oh, okay, and then he goes, the guy goes, yo, Amos, show them what you're famous for, and I was like, did they just make a famous Amos reference? Oh my god, yes,
Yeah,
that's the best.
no, the fact that
Oh
they did
my
that,
God.
I was like,
So
wow.
I was like,
Famous
I'm
Amos?
so on board
Really?
for this. Yo,
Really?
Amos, show him what you're famous for. I was like, yeah, he's famous for his cookies. He's gonna bring cookies over Luke Cage.
Oh.
So excited about that. Anyway, Luke Cage comes out in a couple weeks. We're all excited about it, and I will imagine that that episode will be.
I'm
Just
sure
all
they
about
will
it. All
explain,
about
by
it,
the way,
yeah.
why it is more important to stop these guys than prevent this restaurant from
They'll have the
I know
auditor
they will.
from Avengers show up.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
telling you. All
Yeah.
of this will
Captain
come
America
down
will
to
show up, take a police
Yes.
report. Yeah.
Paperwork is what will save us all.
Yeah. This is also the scene where you see like the guy like hit Luke Cage and his hand breaks against him. Oh.
Which is an interesting, like, I'm gonna be watching through my fingers for some of this, but it's cool. It's a cool effect.
Yeah, it was a cool effect. It, like, the bone crunching, I was like, ooh.
It reminded me of the first X-Men movie when Wolverine blocks a punch with his fist.
Yeah.
And you just see, like, ah! And we all know, like, because his bones are metal.
His bones are adamantium.
And it's a simple effect. It doesn't require a lot of special effects budget, but it works.
It works so well. So we've got not a lot of news for Doctor Strange, but I did want to point out that a couple quick things. They've got a new poster for it that shows like all sorts of topsy-turvy things, and then they've got like up in the corner, they got like the London Bridge. I'm wondering if they're going to do like a different poster for every major international market that will have like a landmark from that area, like just up in that corner. I think that would be kind of a cool thing to do. But it's hitting the UK and Ireland on October 25th, and it's hitting Russia on 28th. I did a little digging into why Marvel, like so oftentimes domestic releases, like a movie, an American movie hits America first and then goes international like a week or two later. But Marvel has been reversing that. And I did a little digging, and I found out that the reasoning behind it, at least the theory, is that American audiences are a bit snobby when it comes to their superhero films. They're like, we've seen them 1,000 times. Maybe I'll go see this one. Maybe I won't. Who cares? So the theory is that Marvel will release them internationally if they have good faith in the film, because then the international market will encourage the domestic release. So American audiences will hear people in London, people in Russia, people in the UK, in Ireland or whatever going, oh my God, this Doctor Strange movie is incredible. And they're like, well, maybe I'll go see it. So from what I can tell, it is sort of like good faith in the film and the quality of the film and how it's going to do on Marvel's part and on marketing's part, that it is released early. So the reverse of that is if we ever have a Marvel film that's like, no, domestics first, it's probably a bad movie. That's Marvel saying, we don't know about this one. Maybe America has it first.
That is an interesting, like, I hadn't thought about why they would arrange those things in certain ways. And I have noticed that, like, coverage of films recently, like, even if a film is getting otherwise mixed buzz, it's difficult for people to really sink their claws into it if it's already made $200 million in other countries, where they're like, well, I guess it doesn't really matter if it's terrible. I don't think this one is terrible, but, like, it is interesting that it's changing the conversation around movie releases.
So are we flying to England to catch in October?
Here's the deal. I want to, but I've also got a wedding about 3 weeks after that release.
Where the hell are your priorities?
I know.
It's called a pre-honeymoon, Matt.
Yeah.
Everyone has one, Matt. You have the pre-honeymoon, then the bachelor party, then the wedding, then the honeymoon. Get with it.
Then the second honeymoon later.
Then the second honeymoon like 5 years later. Now, I've got it. This wedding stuff is confusing. No, I will say, and I know I've said this on our show before, I knew Brittany was the right one for me to marry when I was like, we got engaged, and I was like, well, let's talk about wedding dates. And she goes, I really want to get married in November. And I was like, well, Doctor Strange is the first weekend. She's like, oh, cool. Okay, cool. We'll get married the second weekend. And I was like, oh, you know me so well. Thank you, studio.
Like, honey, I love you, but
Doctor Strange comes out that first weekend.
I did know Doctor Strange first.
That is true. Anyway, along with the release images, there was a new image along with the Twitter stuff that came out, and it's just Doctor Strange in his Sanctum Sanctorum next to the Window of the Worlds, the Seal of the Shanty, the Anomaly Rue. You've already passed it. It's okay. But yeah, it's a cool image, and that was one of the first things that I saw when I was coming back from Burning Man, like. My friend
you saw Doctor Strange outside your window? That's amazing.
Yeah,
it sounds pretty typical for a Burning Man experience.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that. No, I was on Twitter as my friend Marisha was driving us home. I was like, oh my God, he's sitting in front of the window. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I don't want to go into the full quotes on this. Scott Derrickson, the film director, says that the film is very Ditko psychedelic, and that we have barely scratched the surface of anything that we've seen in the trailers. Like, so apparently there's a hell of a lot more coming visually.
I'm good with
effects
that.
Wise.
Amazing.
I'm good with not having everything spelled out to me in the trailer.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
Yeah.
Like, I'm terrified that a new trailer is going to drop on Doctor Strange and it's going to be like, here's everything, plus Dormammu, plus all of this other stuff. And like, no, let me have some semblance of surprise.
Yeah.
But he says it's pretty psychedelic. If your love for the early Stan Lee, Steve Ditko comics was that visual psychedelic ambition, I think you'll be pretty satisfied. It was the primary resource for their visuals. And Derrickson is like a very giant. I mean, just look at this concept art. That is Ditko, but it moved into the 21st century. Like, that's straight Ditko. I mean, right?
No, I agree. I agree. I think
I'm scared because Kisser's just
I need more
staring
colors,
at it.
But yes, there will be more
it
colors.
needs a lot more colors, but I think that's one of the things that
it's also a concept.
It is a concept,
right.
but I do really I mean, that's also concept art, but we've seen that in the trailers.
Right.
So I really and that's concept. We've seen that.
Well, and this is one of those times where I trust a statement like this because it is not just that yes, they have to call out famous runs in some of these things, but the specificity of saying we're taking our primary visual palette from this run, that is not one of those things where it's well, you're gonna get raked over the coals if you don't say that. It's one of those just to say it means you did look at it.
Yeah.
And if you did look at it, then I'm cool.
Yeah.
Then we know it was part of your process. That's what I want to hear, in a very real way. It means something.
Back in January when I did Wizard World in New Orleans, I got to talk to the Russo brothers a bit, and I asked them if they could tell me anything about Doctor Strange. They're like, well, we can't tell you hardly anything, but we can say that as big of a fan as you are, Scott Derrickson is the same. So just if you were directing this film, that is Scott Derrickson. It's his #1 Marvel character his entire life, same as me. So I think it's in good hands. So for him to say, no, I took the Ditko run, is no, you absolutely took the Ditko run. And I can't wait to see how that translates into the film. And that concept art to me was oh my god. Splash some extra purple and red in there, and that is absolutely Ditko.
Yeah.
Just with a little bit more detail to the sort of surfaces and everything. So,
also just the garb they're wearing, the fact that it's very weighted and it's got you see the folds and you see all these different layers. That's a very Ditko thing. He didn't do sleek costumes. He oftentimes Spider-Man's the sleekest costume he made, and that's busy. It's got the web designs and the underarm webbing and all that jazz. His other costumes where you look like the Creeper, and Captain Atom, the original stuff, and the Question, it's got a different feel to it, and
it's a bit more of a like you said, weighted, real.
Well, also his artwork had a very woodcut feel to it, the way he would do the etching of shadows and such.
Yeah.
So it just had this sort of grit to it.
Yeah.
And I like that we're seeing that in just how Doctor Strange is just dressed, and how you can see the temples and stuff he's in, the wood is not perfect, and there are scratches on the walls and stuff like that.
Well, the last thing I want to address with Doctor Strange before we move on to really quickly talk about X-Men Apocalypse is the Caecilius. Is he pronouncing it Caecilius?
I have no idea.
Caecilius?
I'm
going to continue to call him Caecilius.
We'll call him Coy.
Coy. They did. Marvel did one of their Infinite comics, for the Zealots, where they explained a bit more of Caecilius' backstory. And in it,
excited! I saw this in your rundown, and I haven't read it yet.
Oh my god! I started getting tweets a couple of days ago how I had called something early on, a long time ago, and I was like, what are they talking about? So I went and read the comic yesterday, and so Caecilius loses his wife, loses his child, and his entire ambition becomes to find a way to go back in time and save them. So when he's introduced to the Ancient One and finds the Ancient One through Baron Mordo and whatever else, that's his burning question. She's never willing to give that answer because it's a sorcery that's way too powerful, whatever else. But he just can't take it, and he becomes a bit like Anakin and the Emperor, where he's like, I need this knowledge. Give me this knowledge. How do I save my wife and my child? So he finally goes and takes it for himself. And what he finds is the book that was written. They all point to one name, Cagliostro. And Cagliostro was featured in 2 comics, Marvel Premiere, I want to say 11 and 12, the Time Doom run, where Baron Mordo finds out about Cagliostro, whose name is actually Neg, which is Genesis backwards, and they go back in time, and Doctor Strange and Baron Mordo witness the entire actual birth of all of our reality.
It was a sci-fi version of the Garden of Eden. that they basically did.
Sure.
With Genesis and I mean, also Cagliostro is something that certain comic book and fantasy writers like to pull out because he was a real person in the 18th century. He was a student of the occult and magic practitioners, and he died. But then people kept reporting sightings of him and meeting him and all this jazz. It turned out to be imposters, but this is a dude who a lot of mystery and rumor circled around because of what he studied. So sci-fi and fantasy writers love revealing.
He
was a real magic person.
Yeah. So what the story, but his story is that he's from like I think the 31st century where magic is rampant and everyone has access to it, but that has completely depleted the pool. So magic is barely useful anymore because everyone can do it. So he finds a way to go back in time and take all the magic to himself to become the most powerful sorcerer in the history of our reality, and go back in time to make the universe in his own image, and Doctor Strange tries to stop him. So apparently this film with Caecilius is dealing with...
We can call him Curtis.
Curtis? We're going to call him Curtis?
We're going to call him Curtis.
Curtis Holt is dealing with that in some way, and the symbol that they all have on their head is the symbol of Cagliostro. So I don't know how that translates into the film, but I am excited to see how that...
I like the general motivation. I wish we didn't have to do the typical his wife and kid died thing, because it's so that idea and fridging is so overused. But I mean, we'll see how they play it in the film. And that's also honestly that tingles my antenna because that was one of the proposed ideas of the secret origin of the Doctor in Doctor Who. One of the proposed ideas from one of the creators was that he was actually from the far future and was trying to alter certain things in the past so that the future would be better for him as a home.
Cable, Bishop, Days of Future Past.
Not quite that extreme. It wasn't like it was more like I have a deep philosophical and moral disagreement with just the future in general, even if other people don't.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna move a few domino pieces and let them fall into an arrangement that's more applicable to me.
All right, well let's talk about X-Men Apocalypse really quick. There was a deleted mall scene, that just hit the internet, and to me that is everything that we wanted in the film that we didn't get. And here's what I'm gonna say, Doob, you're killing me. No friends of mine.
This dance isn't as safe as they say it is.
It's truly not. It's truly not. All right, dude, cut it. Thank you, Jerome. The scene is not perfect. It's not a perfect scene.
Yeah.
It could have used some help, and like, yes, there's some special effects stuff, but just like in terms of what they did with it and everything else.
It's a raw scene.
It's a relatively raw scene.
I'm still really sad it's not in the movie.
However, I feel like them cutting this from the movie is an indictment on what the film was missing, not on the quality of the scene. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I feel like here's what I want in the X-Men, and I've said it before. Here's what I want to see in an X-Men film. They're all in the mansion. They're all studying. They're all having their difficulties with their interpersonal relationships for like 20 minutes. We just get background, small character stake. They're all trying to learn how to be a family, like a reluctant family. And then the Brood attack, or then Cable shows up and he's like, I'm from the future and you're my parents. And it's like, what? Like, that's what, and then everything happens in the X Mansion. Maybe there's a third act that like breaks out onto the grounds or whatever else. That's what I want to see. That's what this film, or that's what this scene was like. We had that idea. We wanted to see
a family. Yeah,
we're kind of a family. We're dealing with each other. And
we decided to waste time setting up a family that you knew was going to die because for some reason we thought Magneto needed more reason to be angry.
Speaking of dead family.
Yeah, speaking of fridging people, and then on top of that, we just thought, let's not put a lot of thought into the structure of this film where the threat doesn't seem that great if the very first scene shows us that non-powered slaves were able to take him out.
Yeah.
So I'm not really concerned.
They buried him for a few thousand years.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned that the X-Men can defeat him if non-powered slaves take him out in the first scene of the movie.
Yeah.
Granted, my impression from that scene was I would watch a movie about the conspiracy of those guys to take him down because it all sort of like situationally made sense to me.
That was way cool. Absolutely. No, I would love to see like Egyptian slaves taking down Apocalypse.
But it was painful to watch this mall scene because it was like, it's an X-Men mall scene.
It is.
Yes, we're supposed to have these.
is.
I mean, granted, they're supposed to get attacked in the middle.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, you go out, you try to live
There's
like
got to be
normal
someone
people.
racist at that mall. There's got to be someone racist at that mall.
Yeah.
It's a little weird that like it's just Utopia Mall. Because that also doesn't really play into. I wanted it to
Not in upstate New York.
mean something, but like that's the parts of the film that worked, especially for me, were like those kids and giving them a relationship, letting Jubilee do something.
Yeah.
Jubilee was cool.
Yeah, I love Jubilee, and like I'm not the biggest Jubilee fan. I loved her in the mall scene.
She came off as cool, and instead we just had like a fairly boring film, honestly, with some good stuff in it.
Yeah.
And some good...
I don't know if I complained about it on the show. I'm pretty sure I complained everywhere else on the internet
Yeah.
that like it's one of those times where it's not messing up a detail that ruins a film, but occasionally there is a detail that you can point to that sort of says, here's where I feel like we are on very different wavelengths, me and you, film. And my take on my feelings about the X-Men source material, like, if you're gonna use Jubilee and you're gonna have a scene where somebody hasn't heard of malls and somebody else is mad about it, the person who's mad about it isn't Cyclops.
Yeah.
Jubilee is standing 2 feet next to him
absolutely right.
when somebody can't believe that Nightcrawler has never been to a mall.
You're absolutely
and there is
right.
literally no situation ever better constructed for
For
a
Jubilee.
use of Jubilee than like, that's ridiculous, we're going to the mall.
Yeah.
And I realize this is the tiniest nitpick, but to me it's one of those like, but you had it.
No,
you
it's not a tiny nitpick.
Right
That's a character moment. That's a character.
That's a
moment.
dead-on nitpick. That's not a tiny one. Like,
yeah,
that's dead on.
That's a character insight moment, and that's the thing. Like,
But I wouldn't be picking on these things. I like because so much about those young X-Men did work for me, and I guess it's weird for me to complain like, you did this wrong and I wanted more of it.
No, I think
like,
the characters were okay. It just, except for Apocalypse, frankly. And just the story
Storm
was.
gets to do something someday.
Yeah, the story was boring as hell, and it has a weird visual where you have the multicultural team who want to shake things up, and then the all-white team of all but one of whom is American is saying no, status quo will stay, and like it's a weird setup, and
It'd
there's
be
so
creepier
much.
if there were any actual ideas behind the Apocalypse side. I still don't know whether he mind controlled them, and it's weird that I don't know that.
Well, I mean, if he didn't, then the X-Men are totally fine with Magneto just fixing their house and leaving after killing thousands of people.
Thousands of people.
Because he
Like
killed
worldwide
thousands.
destruction.
Storm, like,
too.
hey, join us. We've only met you during when you
When you were fighting
helping
us, and then you turned
kill
on...
thousands of people.
Do you know, like, basic facts about Storm, respect for life?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when she loses or betrays it, it's a big deal.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And it's not that actress's fault. I loved the cast in this movie so much. Now we're just reviewing X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah. So, but like
Boring.
I just...
I wanted
Boring.
to love.
the-
I love my X-Men.
Boring.
I wanted to see, like, here's what the movie should have been. All of the X-Men go to a mall. Like, Nightcrawler's never heard of it. What? Now it's an excuse for us to all get off the school grounds, take a field trip. Maybe one of the professors goes along. They're all in the mall. And then we, like, get this great Bill and Ted montage where, like, you know, Mozart's playing piano or whatever.
Right.
Like, you know, like, Nightcrawler's playing piano or he's doing whatever.
Yeah.
Like, or breakdancing.
And
It's
how
great.
about-
Or
They all go...
sneak out to the mall while the attack on the mansion happens, and that's why those guys are the ones who have to stage the rescue, because they
Exactly.
irresponsibly snuck away from the mansion, and that's the only reason they're the ones who didn't
But
get
then
captured.
you get,
and
but
they
then
have
you
to.
get like, you know, like you get like maybe like Wolfsbane is there, and she's like, oh, my Catholic guilt, and I don't know what to do. And then you get that moment with Nightcrawler going, oh, I get it. Here, let me talk to you. You've got like, you know, maybe Iceman is gay in this universe, and he's dealing with his homosexuality. Like there's so much to play with, little bitty character moment wise, that you have in the mall or you have in the school or whatever. And then the attack happens.
There's also, I mean, the singer, when he started doing the X-Men films, really tapped into the prejudice metaphor.
Yeah.
And it really worked as rushed as X-Men 1 was, and while X-Men 2 had its flaws, the prejudice metaphor and we are a minority and have you ever tried not being a mutant really worked. In this movie, along with the weirdness of everyone seems to accept them and like they're literally advertising where they live, and that doesn't seem to be a problem with anyone except Stryker. there's no prejudice metaphor anymore because, like, most people who are undergoing prejudice or systemic racism or homophobia and transphobia and all that jazz are more concerned about, can I go to the mall with my friends and not be attacked, instead of, can I stop the world from ending yet again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
They use all that metaphor stuff on Magneto in Poland for some reason instead of.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little bit mixed, and I wanted it to be clear.
All that being said, I didn't hate the movie. It was fun. It had its moments.
I didn't hate it. It was just boring.
But, like, it wasn't bad and it wasn't good. It was, like, in that dangerous place right in the middle.
Parts of it were bad.
Yes. But parts of it were good. That's what I'm saying. Like,
The
it
fact
wasn't
that
bad.
Apocalypse
it wasn't good.
designed
it
all
was
these costumes is
it's
weird.
a little weird.
And that when he recruits Psylocke and it's like, I need powerful mutants, she says, well, I know this dude with an injured wing.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, I've seen these people on the news who regularly fight mutant terrorists. Maybe one of them.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
and
granted, if you asked me to recruit somebody, I'd probably go with person I had met and not people I've seen on TV.
True, but
I was gonna say she doesn't have the number, but she does because they made those viral ads. Everyone has their number.
yeah,
and
exactly.
And there's Psylocke, and he's like, I need powerful mutants. You are not telepathic or telekinetic like you are in the comics, but you do make a sword out of your hand. That's pretty powerful. Cool, you're on the team.
Yeah,
Like,
yes.
and she like
You
had
seem
like
okay.
4 lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess.
I really
a fun
wanted
mess.
to love it.
And I wanted to love it more than I did, but you know, whatever. Don't hate us, fans. If you love the movie, we're not.
We're sorry.
We're not
faced
taking a
enough
dump on
hate.
what you loved. We wanted to love it more and liked it just fine. All right, we want to talk to our Merry Marvellites really quick, but before we do, I need to plug really quick. We have a sponsor. Blue Apron is sponsoring our show. Have you guys ever done the Blue Apron thing?
No, I have heard.
Friends
good
of mine
things.
have.
Oh, it's actually really cool. I've got the cost here. Let's see. Let me find the cost, because for less than $10 per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. So you can sign up for like 1 a week. You can sign up for 2 a week. You can like customize your plan. But what's cool about it, here's what. It's healthy meals brought directly to your door for you to prep at home the way you want to. And they have all the ingredients in this one little box. So you get a box, and they're like, here's the rice and the greens and the chives and the spinach and the chicken, and here's how to prepare it. Here's all the spices. Here's how you cook it. Yay, meal. So it's great. I've done it a couple times. Want to do it a little bit more, but I'm saving for a wedding. So like we are like super duper locked down. That being said, it is like very affordable, especially if you like home cooked meals. So
Nice.
I've heard nothing but good things.
yeah. So
I've heard many good things.
let me tell you this. Some of the meals available in September: paprika spiced shrimp and cheddar grits with tomato and sweet corn. Spicy Hosen chicken stir fry with baby bok choy and sesame ginger cucumber salad, or summer udon noodle salad with cherry tomatoes, corn, and summer sweet pepper.
Well, now I'm hungry.
Yeah, right? Yeah, especially it's noon here. It's lunchtime for us. So yeah. Anyway, there you go.
And if you sign up with our code,
Oh yeah.
you get free things.
Wait, what?
Doom likes free things.
Tell us all about that, Doom.
Well, there should be a code on there.
BlueApron.com/Marvel? Is that the code you're
That
looking
is
for?
the code.
All right. Well, there you go.
You go there, you get, I believe it's 3 free meals. Matt, correct me if I'm
Yeah, 3 meals free with free shipping. So
Dude,
yeah,
awesome.
it's win-win for everybody with Blue Apron. So let's move on to our Merry Marvellites very quickly. First of all, I want to point out Eric Opperman, the Eric Opperman, sent us a picture saying he just chatted with Bruce Banner for a solid 15 minutes. They talked about school, jobs, comics, Ragnarok, Comic-Con, the Thor mockumentary, and they even talked about Searcher. And when I was like, wait, what did he say? He's like, he didn't say anything except that he thinks it's really cool. So I was like, give me the scoop. But there he is with Mark Ruffalo himself. So Eric Opperman, thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. I'm glad. I'm jealous that you got to meet him. I've heard nothing but good things about Mr. Ruffalo. So
I can't believe we live in a world where Mark Ruffalo is playing Bruce Banner. It's
I
just
know.
I know this is years old, but like, come on.
No, it's a brilliant thing.
it's brilliant casting. We've also got a quick shout out to Daniel Drew, who was going to ask for a birthday shout out last week because his birthday was last week, I believe, but now he wants one now. So at Jedi Time Scion, Daniel Drew, happy birthday!
Happy Happy extremely early birthday next year.
Happy birthday to Daniel Drew. Bibbidi-dip-dip-doo.
Good on you.
Yeah. So Brandon at Donku So Endive. Skibidi-ba-da-ba. I probably mispronounced that. Says, hey, Koi, Matt, longtime listener of the show. Can I get a shout out? You guys rock. And hey, Doom in the booth. Shout out to Brandon.
What up, Brandon?
Sorry, Koi's not here, but you got a Doom key.
You've got Closet Cosplay Koi.
Yeah. And you've got Amy, who is also Koi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Together
am
we
Koi.
form Koi.
What's the rule of gender switch?
Is there
Are
a
there
rule?
rules?
Yeah.
You
know what I'm
wait,
talking
no,
about.
I don't want to cross it with the porn rule.
Right, that's
Which
the problem.
one's 34?
I think that's
If
the porn
it
rule.
can exist as porn, it does. I
Okay,
think
that's 34.
Yeah, that's rule 34.
Rule 63?
I don't know. Let's move on to questions while you guys figure that out. Ann Curtis at GamerGirl2330.
63!
Yes,
What-
she's rule 63 Koi.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
that gender flipped.
Oh, okay.
If
Sure.
it exists, there's a gender flip version of it.
Gotcha.
Gender
Okay.
bent.
Rule 63. Ann Curtis at GamerGirl2330 asks, thoughts on the rumor that RDJ appears in post-credits of Doctor Strange? Is it the Illuminati? Is it facial hair bros? Is it Avengers recruitment? I don't know that I've heard the rumor.
I haven't heard the rumor, but I could see him just like, have you heard about this Doctor Strange guy? Like, no.
Yeah.
And then just end it right there.
That would actually be kind of funny. I would love to see a facial hair bros moment. Like, even if it's not exactly from the comics, just like Doctor Strange and Tony Stark like meeting each other and him being
And
like,
exchanging like tweezers.
yeah, I like your hair. I like your beard. I like the way that looks. That's
Well,
good.
they also now have several characters who could play the role of someone commenting on that.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
it's just like, I think that guy looks interesting, and then Spider-Man or Ant-Man's like, it's probably just the hair.
That's probably just the hair. Yeah. Yeah.
Like Spider-Man looks at Black Widow. Like, do you think I should? No.
Yeah, no,
Should
no.
I?
Should
I mean,
I?
I can't yet, but I mean,
Yeah, I'm
but do
growing
you
I'm
think?
growing
Like,
into it. Yeah.
Good luck, kid.
Just give me a little time.
Yeah. Just give me some time. I'm still Spider-Man. I'm a man. I'm totally a man. Jose Cafe at Jose Cafe _15 says, is there even a chance of seeing Ghost Rider alongside Netflix's Defenders? I can dream. He wrote that in all caps. I think that I don't know that there's a chance of seeing Robbie Reyes. I think there's more of a chance of seeing like Danny Ketch or Johnny Blaze with the Defenders.
That does seem what would be most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not season 1.
No, that would be a season 2 or like later on, like a Midnight Sun sort of thing, maybe. But.
Also, there are it is possible and has been repeatedly shown that multiple like Ghost Riders can coexist. So you can easily set up.
And the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider is he's a spirit of like a haunted like mass murderer. I can't remember. Like,
a serial killer.
That,
a serial killer
real dark
like Eli
place
or
it
something like
goes
that.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then
he's not one of the actual spirits of vengeance according to Blaze.
Exactly.
But each Ghost Rider is inhabited by a different ghost or a different.
I thought it was the same demon. I thought it was always Zarathos.
No. They had tried that originally, and then it was when Danny Ketch showed up. He clearly was not Zarathos. And so that was the whole mystery of like, but who is the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider spirit? And they came up with this idea. Howard Mackey started doing this idea of like that there was one spirit, and Zarathos had temporarily assumed a similar role, but actually he was the second ghost. That there was this one spirit who had also possessed Johnny and Danny's mom, and so she was a Ghost Rider. All this jazz. And then Jason Aaron. It got way complicated, and then Jason Aaron came in and was just like, you know what? At any given time, there are usually a couple Ghost Riders on Earth in different cultures, and different spirits of vengeance inhabit them. So you can have, and he has had like multiple incarnations happening at the same time, and so that also opened up the door for different time periods. So like one of my favorite Ghost Riders now is Knuckles O'Shaughnessy, who was around in the 1930s.
Oh my
And was
God.
short and had his flaming baseball bat and was just beating the crap out of bootleggers who just went too far and were like in with Capone and the mob and stuff. And I'm like, I'm all about
that's
Okay, that's
little
awesome.
Ghost
adorable.
Rider
I
named
kind
Knuckles
of-
O'Shaughnessy.
I have to track that down.
He was so cool. I'm all about it. But yeah, so there are different spirits of vengeance out there, and male, female, different cultures.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so I think that there's a chance. So wait, Doom is saying that he has some weird breaking news.
Very weird. So this just broke on the Hollywood Reporter.
Hey, by the way, can we like ban Ryan Rigby? Like he's being homophobic and saying bad stuff in the chat.
Wow.
Rigby,
We absolutely
Rigby,
can.
don't be that way, Rigby.
Doom appreciates a clean chat.
So what's this weird news?
So, a Hollywood Reporter just came out that Fox has bought the life rights to Stan Lee.
What?
They've purchased Stan Lee's life rights and will be producing a 1970s set action-adventure movie about Stan Lee.
Wait, action-adventure?
I'm in love with this idea.
That's what they're calling it. 20th Century Fox is going to produce, and Marty Bowen and Wick Godfrey, who have produced Twilight, The Maze Runner, and they're producing Power Rangers right now, are going to produce. They're saying in tone it's going to be similar to Kingsman.
What?
So Stan Lee is like a superpower special agent.
I'm out.
I'm
For years, it seemed obvious that someone needs to do a 60s Marvel, happier version of Mad Men bullpen show. And that is when you said life rights to Stan Lee, I was like, somebody's doing that. They just published an autobiography,
with
his
Bryan
autobiography
Cranston.
was just published.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, have you seen the poster?
Yes. He's so Stan Lee.
70s
They're saying
action adventure?
it's Stan Lee as the hero with an alter ego.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically like a spy or something. All right.
So they've purchased his permission for them to make up a version that would be a historical Stan Lee that goes on adventures.
Yes.
I will watch this movie. Yeah.
I'm interested. It's Stan Lee. I'll probably see it. Well, thank you for the weird news drop.
That is weird.
So one of my favorite new people on Twitter is Nart Daquan. I think I'm saying that correctly. At Nartation. He talks to me every single week, multiple times in different capacities about Doctor Strange. And he'll go into the trailer, he'll pull images and circle stuff and send it to me and be like, hey, what do you think? Do you think that this is this? And they're like, and I'm in love with him right now. And he just text or tweeted at me about Cagliostro was the name dropped in the Zealot, so I wanted to say I appreciate that. But he also pointed out in some of the concept art, you have that giant orb. And he's like, is this a giant orb of Agamotto? And I was like, I don't know. There's no precedence for that in the comics necessarily, but maybe it is. I have no idea.
Well, there is an orb of Agamotto.
There's an orb of Agamotto, but it doesn't take up a giant room. It's it's a little bitty orb.
The Infinity Orb is larger.
Yeah.
But that's not a big deal either. So it'd be
I don't
weird
know,
for them to bring in the Infinity Orb.
More than anything, I just wanted to say, hello, Nart. Thank you for watching our show, and thank you for being as enthusiastic about Doctor Strange as I am. Ricky Galletti, which existing MCU character would give you a solo film who hasn't had one? Scarlet Witch is what he says. So they exist in the MCU, don't have their own film yet.
Black Widow.
I mean, Widow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to. I will, however, say I would love to see a Scarlet Witch / Vision film that starts.
Sure.
That's a bit of a romance to it and everything.
Sure.
So I would like to see that also.
Go to a jazz club.
Yeah.
Vision likes jazz.
Yeah.
That's not the part that's throwing me.
They have to do something on the date. You know?
Yeah.
They'll go in the jazz club and then Hypno Hustler attacks. And
is Pace Pop Pete there?
Go on.
yeah.
Is Stiltman there?
Yeah, and they form they try to be the Frightful Four.
Oh my
and
God.
Vision just immediately takes them out. And Kangaroo and Gibbon go off and we're gonna form our own team with blackjack and hookers.
Oh my God. So Andrew Curtis
Understood that reference.
Andrew Curtis at Andrew H. Curtis says, how soon do you think we'll hear an official announcement on Fantastic Four franchise? Any thoughts?
Yeah.
Not soon.
Here's my hope, and I've said this before, and I will continue to have this hope until it doesn't happen. Phase 4 will have something to do with Fantastic Four, with Marvel and Fox.
I would love for that to be true.
I would love for that to be true. I have no faith in Fox right now of getting their act together and doing that.
Does anyone
Not until
know?
There's a changeover.
Maybe you know, because I haven't been able to find anything. How long does Fox have to go without making a Fantastic Four movie before Disney gets the rights back?
I actually don't know the
I think
term.
it's
like
5 or
something
6 years.
I think they have to have a film in development within 5 years.
Right, if you have development, that's the problem.
Well, the deal with Sony was cameras had to be up.
Right,
on it.
but I don't know that Fox has that same deal.
But it would make sense for them to have a similar deal at the very
Somebody
least.
leak those documents, unless it hurts anybody.
It would
Yeah, we don't want to hurt anybody, but we just want the information.
Amy's morality overrides her fan love, and I appreciate that.
They're neck and neck. Yeah.
I don't know how soon we're going to hear any official announcement of any sort. I think Fox wants to keep those rights away from Marvel, but I think I think Fox would be smart to look at what Marvel and Sony has done and to say, hey, you know what? There's room for us to share profits on Fantastic Four because we've tried very unsuccessfully multiple times. We may
so
as well.
Maybe if Homecoming comes out and it's a big hit, then maybe somebody behind the scenes goes, "Why aren't we doing this?"
When Homecoming comes out and it is a massive hit, and Sony's like, "Cha-ching, we're in the money again."
Yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man's going to be huge.
We
like it's going to be. Well, we believe that, but it's a foregone conclusion that it will be.
Yeah.
Like it's Marvel behind Spider-Man. They've always wanted Spider-Man. Spider-Man's absolutely in the same like caliber as like Superman and Batman in terms of recognizability and brand recognition, whatever else. It will be a huge. It just will be. So whether or not it keeps its legs after 2 weeks, maybe it'll be another Batman v Superman where everyone's like, "Oh my God, I spent my money on that. Don't go. That has yet to be seen.
Seems unlikely.
But it seems unlikely with Marvel's track record, and Sony has given them complete creative control. Like that's on record. Like Sony's like, we don't know what we're doing here. Help us, just make us money.
Yeah.
You know, I think that when that happens, Fox maybe will be like, So hey Marvel, check this out. Yeah, have you ever heard of the Fantastic Four? We're having trouble with it. You guys know this, right? That's my hope. And I honestly think that Marvel and Fox have already been in talks. I haven't heard that. I'm not saying that I've heard that.
Hashtag Mackie confirms.
I have not. But I swear, like, just knowing, like, what little bit I know about how things work, I guarantee you some low-level executives at some level on both sides of the studio have talked. Whether or not anything will come of those talks, I don't know. But
Orlando Jones is as Impossible Man. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh my God, stop.
He'd be good.
He'd be amazing because he's Orlando Jones.
All
I
right.
got your back, man.
We are way over time. We're at an hour 20 right now. If you have any Marvel property to be live action that hasn't been, what would it be and why? That is from Ricky Galletti at Ricky's a Geek, and that'll be our last question, despite me having like 4 or 5 others that I wanted to ask. If you could have any Marvel property be live action that hasn't been, what would it be and why? Is that too big and broad of a question?
I can't rule anything out. Runaways just got a Hulu pickup.
I know. I'm so excited for Runaways.
For me, Invaders. I would love to see the World War II era Marvel team with the original Human Torch. I mean, his rights are iffy
Jim
because
Hammond,
of Fox. But I would love to see the original Invaders team in World War II and just what is it that convinces a Prince of Atlantis and an artificial human to follow Super Soldier from Brooklyn. I would love to see that explored. Other than that, Daughters of the Dragon.
Oh, that would be really good too.
Yeah.
It sort of hurts me that we're not having that conversation with like Netflix.
And maybe it'll happen. I don't know. Yeah. I hope so. Mine would be like the Midnight Suns, that whole like weird 90s like fighting demons all over the earth kind of thing. I don't know why I love that so much.
I would love the Night Stalkers.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Absolutely. Blade and Hannibal King.
Yeah.
All
right,
Drake. Yeah.
We are hour 27 in. We've got to come to a close. I'm so sorry that it became a 90-minute spectacular with what little news we had. But thank you for joining us today.
Somebody in chat is shouting, Power Pack, Cloak and Dagger. You're getting Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger's coming.
Now,
Sorry.
Power Pack, I really thought you should do an Incredibles-style movie like that. Like animated so that you don't have to worry about the kids growing up or anything and just do 5 of them. Yeah. And just rock them out.
I also see Young Avengers in the chat, which, yes, now that I'm getting my Runaways, now that I'm getting my New Mutants, apparently, Young Avengers.
Yeah. I'm excited for Legion. Like that all the stuff that's come out for that I'm excited about, especially with Noah Hawley doing it. Like he did great on Fargo. So anyway, all right, where can we know your Twitters? What other projects are you guys doing? Tell us.
You can find me over on Geek and Sundry. I do a show called How To Squad where we talk to people with cool jobs and skills and they teach us things.
That's cool.
You can find me on Twitter at Enthusiamy. I've been guesting over on Collider a lot, which is a lot of fun on a show called Collider
I love those
Heroes.
guys.
Yeah, they're super cool. Twitter.
And you can find me on Twitter at Sizzler Kistler. You can find archives of my work at alankistler.com. Crazy Sexy Geeks is the podcast. It's coming back October, first week of October. And
my birthday!
Other than that, look for my books on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Doctor Who History, Captain America vs. Iron Man, Freedom, Security, and Psychology. Doctor Who Psychology is coming out soon, so is Star Trek and Psychology. And, just follow the Twitter and the podcast for updates.
Yep, Alan, not Kang Kistler. That's your name.
Yep, not Kang. Not Kang. I do love Kang. I have another project I can't talk about yet. We're still chatting about something.
Is it secretly being Kang?
Yes. Right now we're trying to get that helmet mask to work.
Alan close to Kang
We're really focused
Kistler.
on how not Kang you are. I don't know.
Let's get him closer to Kang. Alan close to Kang Kistler. That's your new name. I'm Matt Key, at the Matt Key. You can find me on Twitter. You can ask me questions there. And that's kind of all I got going right now. Like I came back from Burning Man, I was just like, all right, I guess I got to get life back going. How does life? Anyway, you can follow us at Marvel News PTN or on Facebook /Marvel News Show. Thank you for watching us. Hope you have a good week. Goodbye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Kristian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
Views expressed herein are those of the hosts only, do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.
All right, hey. All right, good job, guys. Let's just not come in tomorrow. Let's just take a day.